Hi, this is Lifeline for the Frontline, and I'm Kelly Nicholson. Today I'm talking about something that I noticed both as a therapist, but also as a previous first responder. Often people would say to me, therapy didn't work for me. And as a therapist, I've seen so many successes using these therapy techniques. And I wanted to look deeper into why some people benefit and why some people feel like they don't. This is what I found may be interfering with their success. There's a robust amount of research to suggest that therapy techniques like cognitive behavioral therapy, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, and all these different therapy techniques are incredibly effective for treating different kinds of mental health issues. And so I wanted to look more closely at some of the unconscious things that we may be doing that prevent therapy from being as successful as it could be. The first one that's so important is buy-in. If we don't buy into the process, we're often not going to see any benefits. We can see the importance of buy-in when we look at things like the placebo effect. And for those of you who don't know what the placebo effect is, if we're researching the effectiveness, say for example, of a medication, and we have two study groups. We have one study group that we give the real medication to, and we give another group a placebo pill, which means it's just a fake pill, but they believe that they're getting the real medication. And we often do this in order to compare the two groups to see what the differences are if we keep everything else the same, to see whether or not that medication is effective. Sometimes we can often see what's called the placebo effect in the group that received the placebo or fake pill. Because they believed they were getting the medication, they may actually demonstrate signs that they're looking to see in the group that did actually get the real medication. So we can see how people who believe, if you believe in something, our mind is a powerful thing, and it can help us to engage in the process, and we're more likely to succeed that way. The other thing about buy-in is hope and believing in yourself. If you believe that something's going to work for you, research tells us that it's way more likely to be helpful and benefit you more. It's also more likely for you to be successful if you have hope. And we've seen research about this with wars and people who are going through civil strife, refugees. People who have hope tend to do better. And that's a psychological state of mind that can allow us to benefit from the process. The second factor could just be recognizing that you need it. If someone else tells us that we need to go to therapy or we're forced to go, often it's not going to be effective. Number one, because of buy-in, but also because we don't even see that there's an issue. So it makes buy-in impossible. So first we have to recognize that there's actually an issue and that we actually do need to access professional help. With that in mind, the third reason may be that you're just not ready. Oftentimes with addictions and any kind of mental health condition where there's any kind of dissociation or psychosis, we're just not ready for therapy, so it's not going to be effective for us. The fourth is your relationship with your therapist. If it's not a good fit, that is one of the number one reasons why therapy isn't successful. You want to find somebody who you connect with and you get that bang on relationship. Like when you meet somebody for the first time and you just think, that person gets me, and I trust that person and I respect that person. And that feeling should come in your first couple of meetings with that therapist, because if it doesn't, then it could be the relationship between you and them. Because sometimes we have a referral from our doctor and we think that that's the therapist that we have to go to, or the psychologist or the professional that we have to go to. But looking around for people that will suit your needs and address the things best that you're going through. Say for example, you have adverse childhood experiences as well as an additional trauma later on in life, There are therapists that specialize in adverse childhood experiences, your ACEs. So that might be somebody that would be more effective for you. If you also happen to have addictions, having someone that deals with addictions as well as trauma is something that you should consider. And I say often with first responders, having someone that's first responder informed and understands the culture in first responder arenas is really important for you to be able to address the needs that you have with. The last thing I wanted to talk about was support. If we're not in a supportive culture and we don't have a supportive family life, finding a therapist or finding a therapy technique that works for you could be really difficult, because you're opening up these really difficult things to process. And if we don't have that additional support when we leave that 1 hour session or whatever, however long your session was, if we don't have that additional support, therapy can feel really destructive and like it's not helpful for us, because we need the additional support. So building that support system of the people that you feel are worthy of being involved in your process and being involved in your healing is a really important step to benefiting from therapy, because it's so important to work with the things that are within our control. And the first place to start is looking inward. I'm Kelly Nicholson, and this is Lifeline for the Frontline. Thanks for watching.